to Ringside, everybody. We are joined today by the incredibly talented, the captain, Vicky Dreamboat. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are all of you doing? Both of you, I should say.
Well, I'm good. I can't speak for his lordship, but I'm good.
I'm all right, thank you. Thank you for asking.
You're good. You're good. We finally got here, Vicky. We finally made it happen.
We did. I'm glad we did. It was a long road, but we made it.
It was a long road. It's we're all good. I apologize if I'm blinding you as well. I have horrendous sunburn at the moment.
Oh, I can't even tell.
Oh, it's so bad. I saw him yesterday, and his head is peeling so bad.
Yeah.
Actually, I had to turn the brightness up on my computer, and now that I've done that, You just looked like real tan for a second there.
I'll take that.
Yeah, take that, Jamie.
Yeah, I went to I don't know. Have you heard of Download Festival in the UK?
Mm-mm.
It's a big heavy metal festival every June. I made the mistake of going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday without any sun cream. So, I'm peeling dramatically at the moment.
I mean, that is a choice that will get you in trouble.
It will.
Yeah.
It will.
Fair skin.
Well, this is it. I'm a ginger, so I need to learn from my errors now, because I'm currently peeling in a ridiculous way.
What a lovely start to Ringsiders. What a lovely start. Talking about dead skin, sunburn. This is why people watch Ringsiders, for this kind of content. This is it.
Because we just like to chat shit, Vicky, basically, and I'm sure you're cool with that, if I'm honest.
100,000,000%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you've already said shit, so I can swear and say all my favorite.
Oh no, we can swear. You can't.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Total sense.
I'll call an audible. Vicky, you swear all you want. Don't you worry. You want to swear? You want to drop some F-bombs? You go for it. You go crazy.
I'll wait until the mood feels right, and then I'm all the fuck over it.
There we go. Now we're talking. Well, I'll tell you what. We're chatting. Let's crack on with this, because I know we're all big wrestling fans, and you're a wrestler, but you're a comedian as well. I have to talk about comedy, because I love comedy. I mean, how did that come about, getting into comedy?
Great question. Yeah, so about 2.5 years ago or so, I started doing improv comedy here in actually I'm in Seattle right now. I live in Jacksonville, but I'm in Seattle. A bunch of bullshit. And I auditioned for this show that was a narrative long form show. That basically means it's like an improvised play, like an improvised play. But the theme of it was, the show was called Glimmer, and it was basically like Glow, like the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. And that's actually how I met my fiance, but that was kind of what kickstarted me doing improv. And that was in January of 2020. And then of course, March happened, and something was going around. I don't know exactly what.
Yeah.
That all happened. And then we moved to Jacksonville, and we started another improv comedy club. So once that kind of kicked off, I started getting a little bit more traction and getting a little bit better. Because I was really, really bad at it for a very long time. And now I'm like marginally bad at it. I'm like considerably less bad at it than I once was. So yeah, I just kind of like, it started in Seattle, and then it stopped for a little bit, and then it started up again. So very similar to like my wrestling life too. Just now we're in Jacksonville, we have shows every weekend. And so we do like clean shows early, and then not so clean shows late. And it's a really fun time. It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything more challenging, really, when it comes to entertainment than doing improv comedy. Like, I love the idea of doing it, but I just know I'd fall flat and probably never do it again. Like, how was it for you the first time you did it? Like, did you have that nerve, the nerves when you were doing it?
Yeah, I feel I'm like representing comedy sports right now. I feel that if you don't have nerves, you don't care. Like, you just don't give a shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like unless you are like the most seasoned veteran, 25 years plus, or you're just like kind of an asshole who wants attention, you should be a little bit nervous every time you go out, right? I still get a little bit of a jittery, like, ooh, we're going on stage doing a thing feeling.
Do you still get nervous? Do you still get nervous for both wrestling and comedy, like equally?
I get so nervous for wrestling. It's a miracle I don't throw up every time.
Right.
But I will say this, I was fortunate to have a couple of matches with AEW Dark, and those were the 2 matches where I was the least nervous. I was eerily calm. Like, I got out there thinking it's okay, I'm gonna panic, I'm just gonna have to, good thing I trust these girls I'm working with, and I got out there and it was like the most comfortable I've ever felt. And then I had a match in Sanford, Florida, which is just outside of Orlando, that had a lot of build, that had like 6 months of build. People were there for me, but mostly they were there for other people. And I was like being introduced and debuting. And I was so nervous, I almost forgot about half the match, just because I was like, it's really important that I do a good job so I get invited back. So
right.
I'm miss, but yes, the short answer to your question, is which I should have given you initially, is yes.
So, I mean, I've got to ask, like, who was some of your inspirations? I said, obviously, I love comedy, and like, to me, I love anything that's got Will Ferrell attached to it, or people like that. I mean,
interesting question. Okay, so if I think back as far as childhood, this is problematic and controversial now, but I was like a really, really big Will Smith fan when I was little. I loved Will Smith. I actually still do love Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh yes, yeah.
He was a big one for me. Yeah. But then
didn't we? Didn't he just pass away?
He did.
He did. Yeah. I thought so. Yeah.
I have a little gravestone in my yard dedicated to him.
Yeah.
That's not true. Him. I would say Gilda Radner. A lot of the women that came up through SNL, because I grew up kind of watching SNL back. This is also an unpopular opinion, but back when it was funny. So like the old time SNL, I would say like first, I don't know, several years, or when I was growing up, kind of like the 90s and early 2000s, that was like, love it.
Yeah.
And with, obviously like sketch comedy is pre-written, but there's a lot of sketches are born from improvisation. And so knowing that, and then watching Whose Line, watching Wild and Out, it's like a lot of different people that all kind of fall under that umbrella, but those are the first ones that come to mind.
Who would be like a comedian nowadays that you actually like the style of? Because like yourself, I like a lot of the old school comedians, and I find myself not liking so many of the newer comedians that come out. I don't know why. It's just, I prefer the older stuff, like minus like Bo Burnham and stuff. I'm not really too into modern comedy, but is there anyone now around nowadays that we should be checking out? Anyone that's coming up?
I mean, nobody younger. I really like Ricky Gervais.
Yeah,
I like Ricky Gervais.
But I love that man. I think he's fucking hilarious. I don't actually like most of her material, but I can tell she's a good comedian. I would say Eliza Schlesinger. Like her brand isn't really my brand, and it's like I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it, but the way that she formats jokes is correct, if that makes sense. I understand. And then aside from that, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of stand-up, just because it's very different. All of the stand-up comedians that I know are here in Seattle, and I'm in the theater right now. I'm in the theater, the CSE Seattle.
Oh, right, okay.
And they come here once a week for a stand-up show, and so like those, I'm like, my friend Jesse Warren, and everybody's like, nobody knows who that he's some 30-year-old kid in Seattle. I'm like, yeah, he's my favorite comedian. Like nobody knows.
Well, I'll tell you what as well. Just quickly sidetracking, you mentioned Ricky Gervais. Did you see today? It was announced. He's doing a new stand-up, and it's going to be coming on Netflix soon. It's called Armageddon. So
right, okay.
Oh, I didn't. I've seen the most recent one. The one that he just released.
Humanity.
A couple months.
Is it?
Humanity. Yeah. Something.
Yeah. Apparently, he's in the process of doing a new one called Armageddon, which is going to be coming to Netflix. So.
Oh, awesome! I really like his stand-up as well. I think he's a great actor and stand-up comedian.
He'll be just in time for the actual Armageddon.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Exactly. And I'm sidetracking again because this is what we do. But like Callum just said, can we all appreciate as well? I don't know. Have you seen Afterlife, Vicky, on Netflix? But
yes. Oh yes, I have. Oh,
how good of an actor is Ricky Gervais?
It's insane. And it also is, it's simultaneously shocking and completely unsurprising, because I think that the best actors are comedians, because most comedians have this, they're not comedians because they love their lives and they're happy, right? Like, it's just not a thing. And so I think that they're able to tap into that kind of like very,
completely
very dark
agree.
side.
Yeah.
But Ricky Gervais is just such a funny, he did The Office, right? I mean, you go all the way back. He's incredible. He's an incredible actor. And that show tugs at your heartstrings in a way that is just too damn much.
Yeah.
I think one thing I love about Ricky Gervais is nobody does satire as good as Ricky Gervais. And I think the problem with Ricky is a lot of people take what he's saying at face value when it's actually like a satirical take on a situation. He doesn't actually mean what he's saying. He's just pointing out how ridiculous something is. And I think that's what gets him a lot of hassle, because people just read the transcript of what he said and then say, oh, well, he's now a bad person. And it's like, well, I'm sure he has bad takes at times, but I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's a great comedian.
But the best thing about Ricky Gervais is he doesn't give a shit what you think anyway. That's what I love about him.
You can't cancel someone who doesn't care if they get canceled.
Exactly.
Exactly. He's brilliant. I'm glad you said that, because I had this chat with my dad all the time. My dad can't stand him, whereas, I think the guy's hilarious. I think he's the greatest comedian around.
You either get Ricky or you don't get him, and both are fine. You either think he's hilarious or you don't. Both are fine, but I think there's a lot of people that don't get him, and it's a shame, because I think he is one of the best around at the moment, whether it's acting or stand-up.
Yeah, he's a tremendous actor.
Wholeheartedly.
Like you said as well, Vicky, it's those actors that are the comedians that are good actors and all that. I always like Robin Williams. Robin Williams was hilarious, but my God, was he an incredible actor. He could pull on every emotion. Every emotion you had, he could pull out of you.
Yeah.
And I totally get what you're saying.
I can't believe I forgot.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, we have a delay for a second. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I can't believe that I forgot Robin Williams, because he was in my formative years. Number one. Like I watched Mrs. Doubtfire so many times. You tell that whole movie.
But another guy that could have you in stitches, but then could
make you cry
your eyes out the next moment.
Did you ever see World's Greatest Dad?
No.
I feel like I did, but a long time ago.
If you want to see like a really messed up movie where Robin Williams uses his acting chops and his comedy chops, that's the one. But I don't want to give too much away, but it's really dark.
Well, I've certainly heard of it. I feel like I've seen it, but I can't be too sure. But I will check it out again.
Well, one question I'd love to ask. We've had a few comedians on previously. We've had Matt McCarthy, who you might know him from the We Watch Wrestling podcast. He does a lot of stuff for he's done SNL before and College Humor and all that kind of stuff. And I was asking him, what's the similarities between comedy and wrestling that you found? Is there any crossover between the two?
Oh yeah, buckle up. There's a lot.
Oh, right, okay.
Particularly for me, particularly with improv, I think that the best way to put it is that wrestling is improv in a lot of ways, right? Not to completely shoot on the business, but hopefully none of my old school guys that told me not to do this are watching this podcast, listening to this podcast. I would say that that a lot of times wrestlers call in the ring, right? We're not everything's called ahead of time. So we could just be in a lockup or be doing something, and I could say, all right, go, do this, whatever. That's improvised. It's on the fly. Another big parallel, I would say, is just the ability to adapt based on what the audience is doing.
Sure, yeah.
How the audience is reacting. In improv, we'll call what do they call that in football? I can't remember. We'll call games on the fly. So we'll instead of an audible, we'll call an audible. Yeah. So instead of saying, oh yeah, we planned this set list, we're gonna do this. If we're like, the crowd isn't gonna like that, whoever's hosting the show can just be like, nope, you know what, we're gonna do this. You are? I bet, let's go. So I would say it's so much for the audience, but also for me, the biggest parallel is just I always feel way more comfortable in front of an audience. I have my entire life. And with wrestling, you're playing a character to some degree, but you're also playing up an amped up version of yourself. And with improv, you're playing many characters, but when you're not on, you're still yourself. And so figuring out how to present yourself to the audience in a way that's comfortable and also entertaining Man, I feel like I had like a list on my phone of the parallels between wrestling and improv.
I find it was so interesting when it's like, on the face of it, it looks like two completely different, like, things, and it is really. But there's got to be crossover between the two, and I always find it so interesting to find out what they are, because obviously I'm not a comedian, I'm not a wrestler, so from an outside point of view, finding out what these are is like so fascinating. And like you said, both of them are improv, and I'm sure you can take skills from one and put them into another. Like, do you find that comedy has helped with wrestling and helping like get the crowd behind you, for example?
Absolutely. I would say that they have informed each other. Wrestling improved my self-confidence so much, because it was another thing I was so bad at for so long, that it just humbled me, and it helped me get rid of my ego. And you can't have an ego when you do improv. You just can't, because you're intentionally trying to fail a lot of the time. You're trying to fail as big as you can. And then to kind of flip that on its head, improv helped me with wrestling a ton, because I'm able to play a character, and cut promos, right? There are a lot of wrestlers who, this is no shade, a lot of wrestlers are very good at wrestling, but they can't talk for shit. They just can't do it. You hand them a mic and they're like, oh, brother, when I get you, like, they just can't do it. It's not for them. And I not to pat myself on the back, but pat, because I feel like one of the things that I'm good at is promos and acting, and able to like work with the audience and work on the fly. So I would say definitely, I would be a much worse wrestler. I'm already pretty bad, but I'd be a much worse wrestler, and I'd be much worse at improv had the two not come into my life.
You've got to stop putting yourself down. We've seen you. You're a great wrestler. All right, let's have.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's half the reason we got you on today. Is one, you're a great wrestler. Two, it was when I heard your name, I was like, that's the best wrestling name I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you.
Vicky Dreamboat.
Yeah,
he's absolutely next level.
I don't know how to tell you this as well, Vicky, but there's a guy out there who I think is trying to mimic your name.
Yeah, I've heard of this. Ricky?
He claims he's a dragon, and he's a legend. I'd keep an eye out for him if I was you.
Yeah.
No, he thinks he's hot shit. Let me tell you what.
I'd keep an eye out for that guy. He claims to be a legend and all this, but I'd just keep an eye out on him.
Yeah.
Just talking promos as well. I've never asked many people listening. Just sidetracking again. You look at like obviously wrestlers and stuff. Who are people that you look at promo wise for inspiration? Like for me, I think the greatest promo guy ever is Mick Foley. I mean, who are guys you look at and girls you look at?
So Mick Foley is my favorite wrestler. If you like gun to my head, Mick Foley would be my favorite. So definitely him.
Yeah.
But I was very fortunate to actually work one-on-one with Cody Rhodes and with PT Marshall. Mm-hmm. And I think that they are two of the best promos in the game. And I think, both of them have like unique things that they bring that are very different. I think Cody is very good at those. Coach Cody is very good at those emotional promos. So I would say like watching him and seeing, and of course Dusty too, right? His father, watching how they were able to do promos and what they were able to do with the time that they had. That would be my biggest inspiration. Like I've gone back though and watched, I love The Rock. The Rock's promos I think are good because they're so simple. They're so cut and dry, right? But it works because sometimes it's keep it simple, stupid.
All right. Who's a comedian that you think would have done well in wrestling promo wise? Like there's got to be some comedians out there who would be great on the mic.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
Robin Williams.
Yeah. Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy. That's good call.
Yeah. Cat. What's his name? Not Cat Williams. Is it Cat Williams?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up really quick because I think I talked about the right person, but he did. That was the first.
I'll tell you as well. Obviously, you mentioned Coach Cody.
I'm gonna say the C word, but that would be most of his promos.
So just quickly talking Cody as well. Obviously you learned from Cody. How tough is Cody after Hell in a Cell? To go through that.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since. I haven't been back in Atlanta for about 3 weeks or so. But he's incredibly tough. It came as a surprise to me. I would have preferred, obviously, you never want to see somebody that you know or somebody that you admire in pain like that, but insane, truly insane. He broke 2 of his toes at one of his Hell in Cells on AEW Dark, or on AEW a couple of years back, in like a street fight cage match. He broke, when he did that moonsault off the top rope, he broke his 2 big toes and just kept going. Like, man,
he's a machine. I don't get how you even do that.
Yeah, it's incredible. And a lot of people that might not know this, because I mean, me and Callum have met Cody in the UK a few years ago. What a genuinely nice, humble man he is as well. Yeah, he just a sweetheart of a human being. He really is. But I know we've talked and talked. I know we've only got about 8 minutes left.
Yeah.
So I need to ask you as well. Obviously, you mentioned AEW Dark earlier. What was your experience like with AEW?
It was incredible. I really hope I get to go back sometime, because it was just very professional, very straightforward, very supportive. I was fortunate because I came from the Nightmare Factory that I knew a lot of the people there already. So I kind of had an upper hand, not like upper hand, but an upper hand in a way where I went in more comfortable. Mm-hmm. Aubrey Edwards, I had met in Seattle briefly before. So just people that I knew were around, and it was a very, very supportive environment. Everybody wanted everyone to have a good match too.
Yeah.
And you don't always find the indies. Sometimes in the indies, people are trying to sabotage each other. And one thing I can say for certain is, like, there's a reason AEW is one of the best companies in the entire world. And it's because there's good people.
That's good to hear. Yeah. I like positive stories like that.
It's true. It's true. And obviously we talked Cody, and you quickly touched on QT as well. I mean, I find QT Marshall so underrated. I mean, what's your thoughts on working with QT as well?
He is one of the most underrated wrestlers of our time. Yeah. And I would also say that he is probably the best coach out there. I have seen him take these, like, frankly, these very insecure, out of shape kids, and just who want to wrestle, who know how to wrestle, but they're not confident. Yeah. And he sees them and he's like, all right, well, you're not athletic this way, you're not athletic in this way, but here are the 3 things that you're going to be good at, go. And he describes things in such a way where people just pick up on it really, really well. And it's insane. It's unparalleled. And he's an insanely good wrestler to boot. I mean, he's so much fun to watch and just stupid good.
Yeah, he is. He is so underrated. Did you get to work much with Dustin as well? Or was it just Cody and QT?
No, Dustin has his own school. I think it's in Texas, but I could be wrong.
It's the Rhodes Wrestling Academy.
Of course it is. Yes, of course it is. Yeah, yeah. I for some reason I thought he worked at the Nightmare Factory as well, because Dustin's one of my all-time favorites. Another guy who I think is just ridiculously underrated. Doesn't get the praise he deserves.
He's so smooth in the ring, even at his current age. He's so smooth.
It blows my mind.
Vicky, one last final thing. What was it like working with Abaddon?
Oh, terrifying. Terrifying. I'm surprised I survived. I thought I was dead for sure. She didn't try to bite me, so we were good.
Oh, well, that's all right then. That's all right. And I think this might be the first time me and Callum, I'm going to mention him now anyway, so it's not. This might be the first time me and Callum have done an interview without bringing up Danhausen. Do you realise that, Callum?
You've just done it now. You just brought up Danhausen.
I'm going to bring it up now. But, it's just.
Well, I think you're right. Yeah, we had a habit of about 100 episodes in a row just mentioning Danhausen every episode. But we did good this time. Yeah.
But there's a guy who's utilised comedy in his wrestling.
Exactly. I mean, yes.
But
I'm a big fan of the gimmick.
Right? Exactly. But look at that. You see, we've talked that much, had that much fun. The time's just flown by.
It has flown by, actually. Yeah.
I feel like we've got to bring you back at some point later in the year, Vicky, to carry this on, because I reckon there's so much more to talk about. But before we let you go,
I would love to. Yeah,
definitely would love to get you back. Absolutely. But I mean, before you go, let everyone know where they can find you, your social medias, any merchandise.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to be launching my merch store actually at the end of this week, so you can get t-shirts and stickers and things. But until then, the best way to keep up with me is definitely Instagram. I'm the most active on there. So it's just Vicky Dreamboat is the handle. You can find me on Twitter at Vicky Dreamboat. You can find me on Facebook at Vicky Dreamboat. TikTok, I don't use it very much. Sometimes I flex, that's pretty much it. And then you can also subscribe to my Patreon. I have full-length matches that aren't available anywhere else from different angles. I actually have the match with Abaddon from like a fan cam view.
Oh, cool.
That's on the Patreon. Very cool. Yep. And then photo shoots. If I get new gear, if I get new whatever, it's always on Patreon before it's anywhere else. So that's it. That's all of them. I had a better ending, but I don't.
Hell yeah. Well, I think I can speak on behalf of Callum as well. This has been one of the most fun interviews because it's just so much fun.
I knew this would be a fun one. As soon as I saw improv comedian in your bio, I was like, this will be good.
That's it. You can just chat shit. But yeah, Vicky, we'll definitely stay in touch and we'll definitely get you back. I think there's so much more to talk about. But for now, we wish you all the best. Vicky Dreamboat, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll take care.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later, Vicky.
All right.